My mind won't shut off. I can't stop overthinking. Why are my thoughts snowballing so much? I wish my thoughts would just shut off for a minute or two. Do you ever have thoughts like this? Then this video is for you. Hi everyone, I'm Danielle and I'm a registered psychotherapist who specializes in treating various disorders from a cognitive behavioral lens. One of the very common things I've been hearing a lot lately from people is I worry so much. How do I stop this? It's making me so anxious. It's interfering with my ability to fall asleep at night. It's interfering with my ability to have relationships with other people. It's interfering with my productivity at work. I can't even concentrate. The thing is, I hear this a lot from not only clients, but also from a lot of family members and from friends. So what I wanted to do today was talk to you a little bit about anxiety and worry, how the two are different, and how they're related. Anxiety and worry are very interchangeable concepts typically, but in therapy what we like to do is to define these terms to make them a little bit more target specific for treatment. So in the first part of this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what worry is and how to define that a little bit for you and some of those characteristics. And at the end of this video, I'm going to wrap it up a little bit by telling you how anxiety comes into that and interferes with everything. Worry is typically defined as a mental process, what is going on inside our mind. It's typically characterized by a lot of what if type of thinking or I wonder how type of thinking. So for example, you might hear people say, what if I forget to send an email at work? What if I make a mistake? What if I disappoint somebody? What if I do something wrong? What if the chores don't get done right? What if we're late? All of these things. There's a lot of different thoughts that go on there. If you're a worrier, you've had experience with this kind of thing. You probably know what I'm talking about. So if you are somebody who has stumbled across this video, you're likely somebody who worries quite a bit. Now, it is normal to worry, don't get me wrong. People always worry or become anxious for the most part when faced with some kind of an uncertain situation or they are faced with some sort of unpredictability or stress in their life or faced with something completely new like a job interview. But if you've stumbled across this video, it's likely that you have trouble a lot with your worry and shutting it off. So I want to ask you, what is it about your worry that stands out to you? Why is it such a problem? Some of the characteristics of worry are one, that it is extremely uncontrollable. So when you start to worry, those thoughts just keep going around and around and around like a cycle. And this is sometimes where people talk about worry as the mental spiral. Your mind just keeps going and going. There's nothing really you can do to shut it off. Even if you try to tell yourself to shut it off, it keeps going. Even if you're having a conversation with somebody, sometimes those worries can be in the back of your mind. So people with problematic worry have difficulty shutting down those thoughts. The other thing too is that worry is extremely persistent. So when you start to worry about something, the chances are that when you try to resolve that worry, the worry will continue. So for example, if you're somebody who perhaps gets nervous about sending a text message or worried about disappointing somebody, it is likely you might rehearse what you're going to say before sending a text message. But after you send that text message, your worry doesn't go away. You might start to think, did I come on too strong? Did I say the right thing? What if I used the wrong word? I could have used a different word, couldn't I? Right? So that worry continues to keep going and going and going. It creeps up on you. So it doesn't stop there. The other thing too, worry is very strongly associated with uncertainty and unpredictability. So any amount of uncertainty that you face in your life, even if it's 5%, even if it's 10%, will create that worry. You are likely to think about negative consequences or a possible negative outcome occurring when you're faced with any type of uncertainty. So you're going to see all of those worries come in all the time. So for example, let's say that you have an upcoming test coming up and you're 90% sure you're likely going to pass. But there is that very small 10% that maybe you won't, right? And then you'll start to think about, what if I fail? What if I make a mistake? How is this going to interfere with my grades? So that very small 10% really can interfere with your life. Now, what some people do when they worry is they deal with the worry by engaging in certain kind of behaviors. They might seek excessive reassurance from other people that they won't fail that test, that it'll be easy peasy, they'll be fine. They may double check their work constantly. They might do excessive research on certain subjects. Now, yes, these kind of behaviors do provide some temporary relief to your worry. However, unfortunately, these behaviors can actually feed the worry. They can feed that feeling of anxiety in the long term, because essentially you are not giving yourself the space to realize that maybe a negative outcome won't come true in the face of this uncertain situation. Maybe I can just handle it without doing all of these things. So every time you make any kind of effortful attempt to manage your worry, or to avoid it or negate it altogether, it is likely that you are going to start telling yourself any type of uncertainty is a bad thing. Uncertainty is a threat in my life, and so therefore I need to seek to avoid it at all costs. And this is where anxiety comes in. This is when you start facing those physiological sensations that are often associated with anxiety. Anxiety is a physical reaction in response to threat. It is your body's way of preparing you to do something in the face of a real threat. Now, even if your mind is telling you that something might be threatening, such as being faced with a little bit of uncertainty and that a negative outcome might occur, you might start to notice those physical sensations. Your anxiety is starting to kick in. You might notice yourself sweating, hyperventilating, your heart rate increase. All of those are signs of your internal warning system kicking in to some sort of threat. And these are things that are very uncomfortable for most people, and they try to avoid them or to suppress them on some level. In fact, most people come to therapy actually wanting to avoid their anxiety. They say, I want to stop this feeling of anxiety, right? And maybe this is common to you as well. Now in therapy, what we actually do is try to bring it back to a more manageable level, because anxiety and worry are actually good things to a certain point. Like I said earlier, it can prepare you to do something. It acts as a warning system that there is danger. Let's consider your fire alarm, for example. Okay, so everybody has a fire alarm for the most part. Now, if your fire alarm goes off when something is burning or there is a fire, then your fire alarm is working right. You know that there is one heck of a significant threat. Okay, but if your fire alarm is blaring at every single time that you turn on your oven, even when it's not that hot, there is something wrong there. It is malfunctioning for whatever reason, and therefore it needs to be examined and repaired so it can work properly. You don't want to get rid of the alarm altogether, but you want it to work properly and not be so sensitive. And that is what we do in therapy as well. We try to get your anxiety and worry to a reasonable level so that it can operate to real and actual threats. That way you don't feel like you're so sensitive to everything. Because a lot of people who have a lot of anxiety and worry, there has been a lot of sensitivity that is developed over time, and therefore they want to avoid all of these things altogether. But you don't want to do that. At times, it can feel like worry and anxiety is taking over your life, doesn't it? It just feels like it has full control over who you are. Anxiety and worry can really press down on people sometimes. But I want you to know, if you don't already know, that you are not your anxiety and your worry. You can actually take some steps to start reclaiming that life back. In the next few videos of mine, my plan is to discuss with you some of the techniques that we use in therapy to start helping you to manage your anxiety and worry a little bit better. So I would encourage you to stay tuned to that. I thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, or even better, you can hit the subscribe button. It will help the growth of my channel. Until next time, take good care.